Okay, so what I'm going to speak to you today about is publicity, how you publicize your movie before, during, after the release, the making of on-set photos, leaking information, non-disclosure agreements, and kind of a segmented release concept. Okay, so this is really a double-edged sword. You want to control the publicity that comes out from your shoot in pre-planning and pre-production. So while you're designing things, while you're putting them on the board, while you're storyboarding, who your actors are, who your director is, where the locations are. So you want to generate interest. And interest and following in today's world, especially in the digital media world, requires time. It requires a slow build. It's not an overnight thing. So you want to slowly kind of release one or two photos on the Instagram account for the film or for you or for the production company. You want to start releasing material. You also want to control the quality of the material that gets released and how it gets released and when. You don't want to release things too early and then have the project stop. You don't want to not release anything and put a ban on release, because that will kill your publicity and kill the people from liking it. So something that people underestimate is making of. You need making of photos. You need making of videos. And specifically, I would say maybe your third AD, your third assistant director, or your second assistant director should be responsible for overseeing all the making of, whether it's on people's phones or on people's cameras or on the making of camera that you hired of. You should be checking the quality and the type of material, whether it releases too much, it shows an image that you're not looking for your film. But you want to give, for instance, you want to give the makeup artist, you want to give the lighting technician, you want to give the special effects people, you want to give each person enough footage and photographs of them on set, of them working, of them behind the set. You want them to release their own little short videos of their day-to-day, their making of. You want this to happen, but in a certain controlled environment. You want this to happen because you want to generate attention. You want to generate a buzz. Now, for very big productions, when you're looking at the big productions like Warner Brothers, these places, they have a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA, which bans you from doing any of that unless they've given you written permission to do that. The reason for it is they already have a lot of publicity. So they're not looking for small publicity. They have major publicity on their own channels. They would only allow, for instance, the A-lister stars or the A-lister directors to release material because they would generate huge amounts of publicity for these production houses. But for you, for independent film, for independent cinema, and for professional film and cinema in the Middle East, you want to allow your crew as much as possible to slowly release material. Make sure you have a timeline. So what matters the most is, when is your film going to actually hit the cinemas or your work going to be released to the audience? Based on that, go back 3 to 4 months and allow material to start being released softly across this period of time. Divide up your material. So you need material for maybe 4 months to 6 months until the release is ready. And then even after the release, you want to keep releasing making of. So there is a big amount of material you need, which means you need camera people, you need people with phones, you need people with video cameras, you need people recording the making of. The most interesting shots, the funny shots, the mistakes, all these things that we could use later on. And if you have complicated shots, how these shots were made. So making of complex shots or complex scenes, these are generally released after the movie has been released or after the work has been released. You wait a little bit and then you release those, because it's very kind of interesting, very demanding to have that kind of a release at that kind of time, because people have already watched the movie. Now they want to see how it's made. You don't want that released before the movie is made. You want that released after. So I'm trying to stress so that you see that filmmaking, there is what actually the people see, and there is the process of how it's made. And in today's world, unlike what film used to be when it was 35mm, in today's world specifically, there is a huge curiosity in the audience. They want to be involved in the creation of the project, in the making of the project. So they want to see those steps. So you want to feed the curiosity of your audience, and you want to feed them slowly. And at the same time, you want to build your portfolio and your presence in media and in audience's eyes. So this becomes something you do very slowly, and you add on step by step. But the first step is make sure you have enough recording, make sure you sign some form of a non-disclosure agreement. For instance, you can modify it to say that they just need quick approval from you, or they can release this many photos per week, or that many photos, or that all the photos will be given to one person and then he will give them back out. This is the best technique, but this creates a lot of work for that team, for that social media or the publicity team. They're gonna have a lot of work of kind of going through everything, making sure every person working on the project gets enough photos to release, they get enough photos for their own CV. You have to also keep in mind, people working on your film have their own careers to think of. So they want documentation for themselves. And documentation for them is good for you, because when they use you for a reference for later on, they're also spreading your name and your project to other people. So it's a good thing for you for them to use you as a reference. So this is one of the major things. Please focus on your making of. Please focus on how it's released. Make sure you have enough material. Make sure you're